Good afternoon and welcome to this Royal Irish Academy of Music online guest lecture. It's a great pleasure to introduce Professor Matthias Bertsch from the University of Music and Performing Arts in Vienna, who will be presenting a lecture entitled Conquering Stage Fright, Immersive VR Exposure Training for Musicians in Real-Life Iconic Venues. Matthias Bertsch is a German-born Austrian musicologist, musician, and professor at the University of Music and Performing Arts in Vienna. He is also the president of the Austrian Society for Music and Medicine. Born in Lichtenau, Germany, Bertsch began to play trumpet at the age of 7 and moved to Vienna in 1988 for his studies in musicology at the University of Vienna. He received his PhD in 1999 with his work on the trumpet in the fields of musical acoustics and musical physiology. In 2003, he qualified as a professor in musical acoustics and was deputy director of the Institute of Musical Acoustics at the University of Music and Performing Arts. In 2008, Bertsch trained as a biofeedback coach and joined the Musicians' Health Group at the Music University as a scientist in the field of music physiology. His interdisciplinary music research is focused on empirical and data-oriented methods in the areas of psychology, acoustics, organology, psychoacoustics, physiology, and cognitive science. He has authored books, articles in print and online media, and scientific contributions in TV broadcasts in Austria and Germany. As a performer, Bertsch has a wide range of experience as a trumpeter in symphonic ensembles, in the German Armed Forces Staff Music Corps, in jazz ensembles, and brass quintets. And it is wonderful to welcome Professor Bertsch to the Royal Irish Academy of Music today to present this lecture entitled Conquering Stage Fright, Immersive VR Exposure Training for Musicians in Real-Life Iconic Venues. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and hello from Vienna, Austria, within the VR lab in the emotion lab. So you see the measuring tools and a VR space and a lot of gadgets to measure all kinds of human activities while performing music. And it's an honor for me to present some of the music performance research. So I will speak on the psychophysiological movement and emotion studies. And of course, as said, on the virtual reality exposure training project. So some minutes, the background of the lab that I use since some years, and you see some hardware that I use like EMG sensors and motion capture sensors that can be played together to do analysis of musicians performing. And one can see in real time data on muscle activities, the motion capture on the body position, and how you stand and balance on the floor. And I'm also have a lot of more tools. The result of these measurements are like documenting playing performance with the motion capture tool, or studying with EMG the embouchure of players and to see which muscles they are using while playing. And then you get the activity of the embouchure muscles and the biceps and all and the breathing muscles. And you see, I have these videos on YouTube and many others, so one can focus what's happening here. So that's just to make you curious to look on further tools and videos. I did study as a trumpet player on how much lip pressure you use and that it's below a kilogram, 10 newtons in the low register, but up to 5, 10 kilogram when you play in an upper register. So really you use all kind of muscles and a lot of muscles in the lip. I studied with thermo cameras, which muscles warm up while you play, and you see you need more blood when you perform, and after 1 hour one can see the areas you have increased muscle activity, and then I can study these areas with electromyography. That means to measure the exact amount of muscles. So like here, these uh, extensors and the delta, the shoulder muscles and the neck muscles and all of those. I can combine motion capture data with the EMG measurements and to see while playing guitar what is happening, and when you are tiring, how much percent of your muscles you need. So there are a lot of tools to measure performance in the motion. And another big topic is for every musician, stage fright and performance anxiety. And there are a lot of studies showing that different percentage, 17 to 60%, have to deal with music performance anxiety. I asked our students at different situations, and 30% are really in the very high area of stress levels, even before a concert or at a class audition, and even 5% when they play in front of this teacher. And as we have 3,000 students, 150 people are already nervous playing in front of their teacher. And I think that's very critical. And we have a huge department with 15 people working on body awareness, breathing techniques, and also stage fright training. And there are many traditional methods like mental training, performance coaching, exposure therapy. So they are well-established methods. And I just developed an additional tool, and I built it up on earlier pioneers using VR concepts, and the different simulation concepts I will present, and then the virtual stage training I developed in Vienna. So let's look back on the years previous screen and cave concept. Like in London, there is the 2014 performance simulator where you play in front of a screen, and you may know William developing this program. Today in 2024, they got I think 10 million euro grant to build up a concert hall with a lot of technique. But he also was in the beginning of the stage fright training. There have been setups in Switzerland and France, and you can see musicians performing in front of these simulated people. So that's calculated avatars, and they do motion tracking.
Really
And
cool.
2015, in the same time, Josiane Bisonette in Canada, she did a cave training. That means she had three very large screens and a piano to perform in front of these rather realistic settings. And she found the effect that performance anxiety can be reduced by means of VR exposure training. 2020, there was a project from Fanger et al. For the piano, and you can see also again simulated avatars for a jury position or a concert hall or the living room. So you play at home or in front of a jury, and you can work on the different situations. In Kent have been developed another great tool, but also with avatars, and you can perform your
Nice. So the
instruments
stage is
in
a
this
lot bigger. You have
setup,
a lot more audience members.
and you can arrange
Now,
how
once you
many
want to start
people in the
playing,
audience, you
it's
can
your screen
arrange the
time, play
orchestra,
button, and the music will
you
start.
can set up the tempo you like to play, and the musician perform, and then you can join in and play with the ensemble. Uh, it's not that
Nice.
easy to handle.
VR
There is
scenarios.
way more
In these VR scenarios, you'll receive
application to
AI-powered
work on
feedback on your
stage
speech and
fright
contact,
and
as well as being able to
from
upload
commercial
information
apps.
slides,
So if you have
speed
a VR
analysis, performance
headset,
tracking, and much
then
more.
you can get apps that show you how much eye contact you have with the people, how is your speaking pace, do you look only on one person, do you focus on the whole room? So you can train giving lectures, and for speech, there are many options. But for musicians, all things that exist are with simulated avatars. But in general, the effectiveness of virtual reality exposure training has been proven in many studies. So there are these studies I showed, and way more in other areas, like if you are anxiety of spiders or height or anything else, you can really work with the VR headset. And the approach I follow is that I simulate a room, I record a realistic room, and you can play your instrument while I measure the performer, and perform with the headset. Mm, And the new and unique features is that my system is photorealistic, and I also include an augmented audio, means that you adjust the audio situation, and you have an offsite option, so everyone with a VR headset can join the VR training. But let me talk about the methodological challenges I had in the last years. So first, I had to record all the scenings, and with the camera, I had to stitch them in a tour to watch them in a headset. You have to find headset that is working, to work on the room simulation, to work with the sound and headset tracking. You should be able to play in the situation. You can do additional measurements. You can increase the stress, and then you can measure the feedback and the psychophysiological data while performing. So first, there are great tools like this camera with 6 eyes recording 3-dimensional images in 4 or 8K, 360, and emisonic sound first order means that you have a surround sound. You don't only have a stereo sound left and right, you also have a sound is coming in front or back of you. And you can do static panorama images, so there is really a reduced motion sickness. The problem is that you have huge file size. If you have 8K videos, then you deal with a lot of gigabyte for just 1 minute of film. Stitching, rendering, everything consumes a lot of time. Then the software I use is named 3D Vista. It's really nice, easy to handle. Interactive photorealistic tours can be made. And another problem is the file size, and it depends on your Wi-Fi connection how good the video resolution will be. And then it depends on the headset. So I started with Meta Quests 1 and 2, then we go to the Pico 4 headset that has a resolution with 2.1 thousand pixels per eye. This one is rather lightweight and rather cheap. So for €350, you can start to use these tools. Today I use the Meta Quest Pro. The resolution is not that good, as high, but it looks way better and less pixeled, and the range of view left and right, up and down the area you can see is larger, but it's more heavy. And then of course there is the Apple Vision Pro, which is way better, way more expensive, but it's very individual, so you have to set it up for your classes, and it's still not easy to wear. 650 gram is too much, and we are waiting for the evolution that started the last years. But it works with any of these. The time of usage, for example, you sweat or your hairs can be disturbed. So some people have a problem. From the first experiments I've done, you see a musician also playing the instrument. So you can play in this room, and then you see a concert hall, and if both sounds the same, it's not that realistic as in the most other simulations tools that exists. And there is a new software programmed in Graz, Austria, that is just for the sound as the augmented practice room. And this is made for students, young musicians, so you just need a cheap microphone and a cheap headset, and then you can, during COVID, you practice in a large hall or a cathedral. You don't have a visual change, so you see the same, but over the headset, you hear another room, and you know that you will perform different in the living room or the shower or the church or wherever you make music, and this augmented practice room allows to adjust it. But as I said, you need an additional microphone, and there is a software you can pick the instrument characteristic settings, so which instrument has which radiation patterns. You can choose all the room acoustics, and it's a great tool, and it's free for everybody. You can download it and use it. They even have a head tracker you can add, so it's a different in which direction you play. So in the same room, the acoustic changes if you play to the audience or to a wall, or so this can also be simulated with this software. And he's one of the leading engineer in ambisonic sound design. But yeah, you have all these reflections, but you need another microphone, another headset, maybe a second head tracker, but most of all, you need more cables. And the playability depends on the instrument and the player. It's okay for wind players and singers, and some pianists can play with a VR headset if you know where the keys are and if you trade with closed eyes. Guitar players can perform, and singers have usually no problem to use it, and brass players have no problem at all, but maybe over a while, after 10, 15, 30 minutes, that it's too the weight of the headset can be a problem. Yes, and that's the performance, and it can be a stress to play in another situation, and you can measure stress with several options, different sensors. So you can measure the pulse frequency, and if you have more stress, the pulse, the heart rate increase. The skin temperature, you got cold hands, so the temperature decreases, but also if you relax, your hand warm up, and you can measure if you are relaxing. So for that, the skin temperature is very nice. The pulse amplitude, the narrow vessels, the vessels narrow, and you can measure that. Then sweat of your hand influences the intensity of the sweating and the skin conductance, and that's a very useful tool to measure stress. So I really like, and on the left side bottom, you say two different sensors to measure the skin conductance. Then you can measure the breathing pattern. So if you get nervous, you have a faster and more thoracic breathing than when relaxed. The motility increases, and the muscle intensity, activity increases. So by the use of EMG, electromyography, you measure the muscle activity, and I quite often do that in the lab. And you can use individual sensors depending on your research question. There are on-site and off-site options, but they are rather expensive And if you watch here in my lab, maybe you see that's my piano over there, and it's like 80,000 euro software, hardware that I use, and it's not that easy to deal with that off site, so at home. And stress can be increased when you immerse in concert situation, but I even increase the stress level by real-time streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So I often do in my seminars that you learn how to play your instrument with sensors attached, and then you come 2 weeks and you play with the sensors, and we measure when you are used to these. And then on the fourth time, then you play once your concert and we stream it, and we measure the changes in your like muscle activity, increased tension in your shoulders or the hands. But again, you need additional system and handling, and it's not that easy to handle with the VR headset and the acoustic headset and the sensors and the camera. So if you use all together, you have to be two people to work with the tools. Yeah, I already showed some examples from EMG measurements, like if the muscle tension increases while you play. And I developed all together in this setup. And if you like, you can write down this website address. It's vret.at. So it's virtual reality exposure training from Austria, AT. And I will present it to you. If you open the setup, you will find this three-house construction. So on the left side, there's a house with 4 floors, and on each floor, you can choose a situation where you jump in. On the green level, there is rather a visitor level, and you can play the entrance examination for our university. On the blue student level, you can practice in different rooms or play in front of teachers. On the professional level, you can choose to play auditions for orchestra. And on the top level, there are some more situations like a TV or social media statement you have to give to sell more tickets tonight. Then the middle building, that's called the laboratory. That's my lab, and mostly I work with students in this middle house with just 4 pictures, Bilder, and 4 videos. So you can choose to play in room 1, 2, 3, 4, or play in the situation of the video 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the right house is our library. Mit versteckten Ostereiern means there are Easter egg images, and it's fun or for non-musicians. So if you visit the library and you pick some books, you find yourself in maybe different or funny location. That's how it looks if you play in front of a jury at our university. We have real persons, so the left is the principal, the first trumpet player of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, the tuba professor from another orchestra, and then two advanced assistant students. And then I received images from the Elbphilharmonie in Hamburg. That is a very famous location that I used for a project to test the situation. And then I made recordings in the Musikverein, where you also see images from stage, and you can play on this outstanding place. I did studies with professional flutists to see like
and abdominal respiratory muscles.
on the right side, you can see her view in the VR headset. On the left bottom, you see the situation in my old lab or in another room. And on the top, left top, you can see measurements of the EMG, of the trapezius muscle, the shoulder neck muscle, and of the abdominal muscles, the breathing. And so then you can study what changes depending on where she is playing. Another tool I included is the heart rate variability training. So for everybody can train to relax. It's the heart rate variability, HRV, a very important method everybody should know of, because it's really something that you can train. Whenever you take a breath, you get new air and your heart starts to pump faster to bring the blood to all your vessels. When you stop and you used all the air, the oxygen, then your heart can relax and it can slow down, yeah, until there is new air. And that means whenever you breathe in, your pulse increases. Whenever you breathe out, your pulse decreases. Yeah? So if you breathe for 4 seconds, you inhale for 4 seconds and you exhale for 6 seconds, then you exhale longer than you inhale and your pulse will drop. That's something valid for every person, and it's always 6 breaths per minute. So each breath takes 10 seconds. You can use a metronome, or you have a watch, a clicking watch with the seconds, and then you breathe in for 3-4 seconds, and you can exhale for 5-6 seconds. And if you cannot sleep after this exciting lecture, then you can tonight take your time and try to count and to use this method. And breathing is the only thing we really can control, and we can control breathing influeing our psychophysiological reactions. And therefore, the HRV training is included in the VR project. Maybe everyone starts to sleep now and take some breath. Inhale for seconds, exhale for 6 seconds. Yeah, so that's to show what you can do within the VR headset to relax in between the situations. I also recorded a big band at our university where you can join in and play. And I do measure the stress with the Embrace Plus smartwatch. That's a brand new tool developed. Oops. The Embrace Plus smartwatch was developed by the NASA and the American military together with the MIT. It's 3,000 euro and measures very exactly data they used for the analog NASA mission and the Antarctic mission. And we try to use this data, and I bought 15 watches to evaluate how useful it is. I got a YouTube clip demonstrating how it works and how other facts there are. So this watches measures the electrodermal activity, so that's the sweat and your hand. Then it measures the pulse rate variability, like what I said, the changes between the pulse rate. It measures respiratory rate, temperature. It measures varying detections if you have the watch correctly on your hand, and how much you move and steps and the activity. The watch sends all the data to a smartphone, and the smartphone sends it to an online cloud, and it's the world's most advanced sensor for continuous health monitoring. So it's also used in some hospitals to monitor patients that leave the hospital earlier than maybe would be optimal. Yeah, online you can track your participants if the watch is working and what's the recent pulse and heart rate. And of course, it's very anonymous since you only have numbers. So nobody knows which data belongs to which persons. And there's a strict ethic votum we had to do before we use it now, or we had done the studies with 50 young musicians. You can see here the sensor.
The collected data provides an overview of sensor data per minute,
like
heart
pulse,
rate, skin temperature, activity, electrodermal activity, step count, sleep detection, and HRV during rest. It also collects details.
Yeah,
The collected data.
Data just here, maybe that's I did on YouTube where you can see when I play with music and my skin conductance, and when I have a rest with less stress, and then when I have to improvise, my stress level increase. So that's the EDA, the electrodermal activity. And and you can analyze the data over 24 hours. When have you had breakfast, worked, or were teaching? Which student in the music school was the most demanding? And so I included this in my VR setup. And I already told you the background. And the summary is that the VR trainee has a proof of concept. So there are studies. I had a formal support from the Vienna Philharmonic Academy and from some concert halls. I may say not all concert halls are open to take pictures or videos. And I will always add more scenarios and make an evaluation. Here you can see how it works in my lab.
Hier im VR-Lab habe ich einen Platz.
Okay, this video is on the right place within the video. Let's check if it's working.
Stehen oder sitzen kann. Man hat
And yeah, that's my lab. You see the microphone left top, and you see a headset and the camera. I took the pictures. You can see this monitor I sit now, where you can see EMG measurements. You see a laptop where I can adjust the room acoustic that you hear over the headset. So I can put sensors on a participant and see where's the headset, and then she can sing. For example, here in a regular room.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
And that's in the
Happy
Elbphilharmonie, where it
birthday
changes
to
the
you.
intensity because you have to sing for the whole audience, and she can do breathing exercises and sing in different situations. We can analyze the stress levels after a session. So that's the background and the handling at my lab. And now again in the chat, I write the website I will visit now to show you how it runs in real time. So you take the headset like this Pico and you start your website, and I have to go on this website, and I go back to share my screen. First, you come in the welcome room and you can look around, read what you have to do. Within the headset, you just look on the logo on the button between your feet, and then you jump in another room. Back to the things where you choose another room. Here you can pick if you go in the regular 4th floor room, or in the lab, or in the library. So like if you go in the library, then you have here the 4 images, and here the 4 videos, and you can go in one room where you see a regular teaching classroom, in our lab. You can pick, usually you should play by heart 8 bars or some minutes. But for beginners, maybe I have some music here and you can sing a song that everybody knows, even in Austria. Then you can go in another room, like a huge recording studio we have at our university. It's in the basement, 2 floors below me, where you can maybe sing the same. And then you can go in the third room, and you are on stage of the Konzerthaus in Vienna. That's for 2,000 people. And you are on stage and you can sing again the same song. We adjust the acoustic on your headset so it will sound differently. And with the website, if you go through that, it's always to click on the logo on the floor. There's a fourth room you can join. That's the Elbphilharmonie in Hamburg, the famous building, and you can sing the same song. Usually you sing a song you know by heart. And you can go on a beach and you look around on the beach to relax, and you can do some breathing exercises. As I said, breathe in and out to get some relaxation minutes. And you can go back in the lab and maybe go in a video to be in the concert hall. And here is a jury setting where I ask you to play in front of jury and it's recorded. And whenever you're ready, please play and start. So, and now it's up to you to perform. Similar, so now we are on the pro level of the fourth building, and here you can go in the State Opera in Vienna, and that's the Gustav Mahler room. Here are the auditions for the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. That's the place where you have to perform to get a position in the orchestra. So for flute violin, 100 people apply, and maybe 40, 30 have the chance to play here the first round, and then maybe again for a second, third round. And behind the curtains are 30, 40 philharmonic musicians, the jury with the sheet music, and they control every note, and they come on and say thank you, or please come again, or so that's the situation. You really practice your whole study to be there and to win the audition after 6-8 years studying your instrument. And that's the VR training and the setup. And yeah, I'm finished with the presentation from the Motion Emotion Lab and the tools I use and the stress and the VR development and the specific application I developed. I am very thankful for your patience and your interest in this talk. Thank you very much.